That's
Do I look like a geek telling these stories?
no, what do
No.
you mean a geek? What do you mean?
Do I get into it enough? Do I?
Yeah, you're geeking out. That's a good, in a good way. Yeah,
I
you get
mean,
into it. I mean, you're
it.
just doing
You
your thing.
just can't believe what it was like.
Here's the important thing is that you're what people care about when they're listening to somebody talk is that you're excited about it
Well,
because you are,
I'm going
and
through
that's fine.
something. Yeah, it was exciting. Going down with watching guys come out behind trees with Uzis,
Yeah,
and you're not prepared
that's
if something goes wrong,
some shit. Yeah,
and you don't know who else might show up
yeah.
because he got run out of town by another gang.
Welcome. On today's episode of Ferrari of Los Gatos, I sat down again with my grandfather, Brian Burnett, to hear a brief and hilarious story about a client that he had. This client, Brian describes as a drug connoisseur. As always, these videos are made for family, for friends, automobile enthusiasts, and those who enjoy long-form discussions and true stories. Suggestions are encouraged. Discouragement is ignored. Enjoy.
We had a really good story. I mean, not a really good story, but a really good customer that was in a business that at times was thought of not being, a normally legal business. And we knew that, but we were not there to judge people for what they did. We were there to sell cars, and so we had quite a number of clients that paid cash a lot. I mean, just didn't have to finance. So one customer comes in one day. His name is, and he was a great guy. I mean, a really good guy, big, good-looking guy. Almost looked like Elvis. And he had come in from time to time with his entourage. He had a little entourage that ran with him, and so we had bought a Roadrunner, a Plymouth Roadrunner. We handled lots of different kinds of cars, muscle cars, classic cars. It wasn't just Ferrari, but our business was Ferrari, but we had used cars and we sold an awful lot of them. So he was a great guy, wonderful guy. And he'd come in with his guys, and they were all cool guys too, but they seemed to be there mostly to make sure nothing happened to and he became a good friend. He became we didn't go to dinner a lot or at all, but we really enjoyed each other's company, and he'd hang out. And so we had a Plymouth Roadrunner that I had bought from an old boy in Texas that was very fast. And it was street legal as far as DMV was concerned, but it was like driving a full-blown drag car on the street, Hemi Roadrunner. So we had it sitting on the lot one day. I think we'd been out driving it or something. He comes in and he sees that car. And he says, "How much is that?" And I told him the price. And he said, "I want it." He said, "Just deliver it up to the house and I'll pay you guys when you come up." So knowing the environment that I might be in with going up to his house in the mountains of SoCal and the way he described how to get there, that I thought I'd take Steve Lawson with me, my good friend that was the ex-narc and sheriff and hung out there a lot. So we loaded it on we had a red Chevrolet car hauler, which was a ramp truck, they called it. Really good looking truck. Ferrari Los Gatos on the side, lights, beautiful truck. So we load the Roadrunner on the truck and we proceed up to his house. And as we're finally find the driveway, we start down the driveway. And we're stopped by two guys that had Uzis. And he knew we were coming, but just wanted to say hello and tell us which fork in the road to take and stuff like that. So as we went down the road further and further, we kept seeing guys hanging out around the trees and stuff, which I'm sure were to bodyguards. We pull into the driveway of the house, and the house is like a 6,000 square foot, 2-story log cabin that is phenomenal. It's just magnificent. And as we pull up, the red truck, of course, announces where we're coming from. And all of a sudden, these people start piling out of the house, like girls, really pretty girls, guys, young guys that seemed to all be in the same kind of business. And they all come out and they're just going crazy over this car, you know. It's like, I mean, it's just a toy to them, you know. It's like they didn't know what to do with it, but they loved having it. So we go inside, huge living room, monstrous fireplace, and that fireplace was going, big, enormous TV above the fireplace, and we unload the car for him, pull it up, show him how to start it, show him how to turn on the fuel pump, all that kind of stuff. And he's just going crazy. He just wants to go drive it, but he doesn't. And I would say there were probably 22, 23 people there. They're just hanging out.
Yeah.
And we unload the truck, and he says, go down and get him his money. And so the guy goes downstairs into, I don't know where, but comes back with his sack of money. And he says, you want to count it? I said, no, I totally trust you. I mean, we dealt with some cash in our lives there. And when they paid you, it was, usually they would give you the first time they gave you cash, because some bought more than one car. We first started counting it. We'd have the girls in the room, or we would count it if we were there by ourselves. They always gave you too much. And
why'd they do that?
Well, as it turned out, to find out if they gave you back the overage.
I see.
And after you did, they felt like they could even trust you more.
Yeah.
And so every individual person that ever gave us cash, it was always too much the first time we ever did business with them. It truly was. I'm not kidding. And so anyway, we didn't count it because I'd done business with him before. And we unload the car, and we say, you know, it's really nice meeting you all, and we got to go back. And they go, oh, no, you aren't going back. You guys are going to stay with us, and you're going to watch the movie. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, every day at 3 o'clock, we watch a movie together, the same movie. And you're going to stay with us, and you're going to watch the movie. And I said, you know, we got to go back. And Steve is looking around like he can't believe, what are we doing here? And he says, my feelings will really be hurt if you don't watch the movie. So we all sit down, and there's this huge couch that is one of those big U-shaped couches, and that would hold probably 20-some people. And they flip on the movie, and it's The Long Riders. And The Long Riders is a good movie about, David Carradine is in it, and all these guys. It's about Jesse James. It's about the gang. And they watched the whole movie. I'd seen it before. And we sat there with all these girls and guys, and they roll a joint that's the size of a half a loaf of bread. I mean, it is this long, it is this big around, and they light it up while they're watching the movie. And they're watching the movie, and it's like the first time they've ever seen the movie. And they're passing this joint around. It's going all through the whole group and coming back. And the more they smoked it, the more enjoyment they were getting out of this movie. And they're yelling about, they know something's going to happen before it happens. And they get all excited and they kneel down in front of the table. I mean, the coffee table, and they're watching the movie on the wall. They're going crazy.
Yeah.
And I didn't smoke. I missed drugs. I was of the age that everybody smoked them. All my friends smoked them and everything, but I watched them and I couldn't believe it. So we went through the whole movie with them. It was very pleasant. They're all really good people. I mean, nice people. Mm-hmm. And I get up as the credits are playing down the screen. And I said, you guys, we've had a great time and all this. And Steve's going, yeah, man, we had a really good time as a ball and all that. He says, wait a minute. I said, well, we got to wait, we got to get back. And he's going, well, but wait one more minute because I got another question for you. And I said, what's that? And he says, how much for the truck? I said, I don't want to sell the truck. It's our company truck. He said, well, I want to buy it to haul that car. And I said, I mean, with us, everything was for sale, but I said, it's our shop truck, it's all done that way. And he says, I'll take the Ferrari sign off. He says, but I want the truck. So I told him, I can't remember, 24,000 or something at the time, which was a lot.
Yeah. I
mean, a really lot for what it was. He says, go get him another bag. He sends the guy down. Well, downstairs, I found out later, was an incredible recording studio because he pictured himself as kind of like Elvis. Mm. And I never went down there, but a couple of the guys that worked for him described it to me, and they said he would go down there and whack out Elvis numbers by himself. And the guy almost looked like Elvis. I mean, a little bit, let's say, but when you talk to him, you'd almost see Elvis. And he was just, you would think those guys would be, they were just guys.
Yeah.
Just great guys, fun guys. And they did what they wanted to do and stuff like that. And he came in and bought more cars later. But one day...
He bought that truck.
Oh, yeah.
The guy came up...
Well, he had another bag of cash with him. I said, well, how am I getting home? He says, Jojo, go get the Oldsmobile or whatever, and took us back.
Uh-huh.
I had
that was that of that day. You sold him the truck.
Had 2 sacks of cash, went back to the dealership. I think we had cell phones, but I don't remember. And stuff like that happened more than a little bit. You'd meet these interesting human beings because we had stuff there that we had more than anybody around here had of these cars. And they were weird cars. They were, not just Ferraris. We had Duesenberg once. We had all sorts of neat cars. Mm. And Richard, my partner, we were partners for 3 years. He would come up with some bizarre cars. He was really good at finding freaky cars, and he knew a lot of really wealthy people. So anyway, that was just a fun time, a really fun time, and that was just something that kept us really having fun. That place was fun. It was real fun. We had a lot of fun and met a lot of really cool people. And I throw him in the bag of cool. I had no right to judge what he did for a living. I had no right to do nothing except sell him a car. But going through the process was almost more fun than selling the car, No. It was great.
All right. That's a good place to end that episode. And we'll just end it there.